Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is another layout for Stretch the Sketch. So this is a sketch I'm working with today, and everyone else is working with today. Make sure you check out everyone else. And this sketch, with how many photos were in it, was just screaming to be made into a double layout. So I have two wood grain pieces here. They're Recollections brand, just simple wood grain. I actually just picked these up and wasn't intending them to be used soon, but I don't have two identical 12 by 12s left in my One Canoe 2 paper pad, and these are outdoorsy photos, and everything goes with wood grain in my opinion, so I figured I would go ahead and pull both of these wood grains in as my two 12 by 12 backgrounds, and from there I will just use my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for this month, which is One Canoe 2 Willow, to finish off this sketch. So I had to get a little creative. I started out by laying my photos out how they were in the sketch, but I had one additional photo. So I ended up scooching things around so it looked more cohesive. So I'm just planning on having them laid out this way, which is pretty similar to the sketch. And then there's a couple different things in the sketch I wanted to incorporate, but not literally. A couple different areas, there's kind of circular elements, so I thought it might be cool, since this is, I'm blowing it up to a larger scale, to do a large circular piece. So I just traced a dinner plate on one of these papers, and decided to cut out a giant circle, and I was planning on having this kind of stretch across both of these pages to really conjoin them and make it look like one big layout. I noticed right away though, with a lot of these photos, since there's so many, I was covering up a lot of this large circle, so I knew I wanted more of this circle to show than what was already showing. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to deal with that yet though, but I did know I wanted a nice little simple skinny white mat around all the photos, so I just stopped for a moment and decided to mat all of my photos in some white. The sketch has one of these photos to the left here with a different mat, and so I pretty much just chose my favorite photo out of the bunch and did a double, triple mat, I think it ends up being, on my favorite photo, just so it was highlighted a little more. So you'll see that in a minute. These two 4x6s that are horizontal though run the full span of this page, and I wanted there to be some extra room to the right side of the photo, so I just overlapped those a little bit in some empty space for one of the photos, because it was just wooded area. There's a lot of wooded area showing in all these photos, so I figured I could sacrifice that little edge of the one photo. And then I decided I would go for this coppery polka dot to be my secondary mat on the photo I'm choosing to highlight, which is just a photo of me and Marcus in front of one of the waterfalls. This was when we were in Helen, Georgia, and we did the Anna Ruby Falls hike. We did not do the 15-mile or whatever it was hike. This was at the end of the first day, and we barely had enough time to do anything else after we set up the campsite. But we did decide to go ahead and eke in a short hike, because you could hike the whole way, or you could drive most of the way to the Anna Ruby Falls, the visitor center, and then from there it's only like a mile hike to the actual waterfalls. So that's what we opted to do, because we didn't have a whole lot of time and neither of us were wanting to do the super long hike. So it worked out pretty well. But that's what all these photos are from. This is where the photo of, for the What Love Is in the Air hop, this is the same day. So these are basically all the other photos. I decided, since I matted the one photo in this polka dot copper, I wanted to incorporate that paper elsewhere as well. So I decided to make it a large horizontal piece that'll end up spanning both pages. So I'm starting out here on the right to get that lined up, and then you can kind of see where I realized too much of this circle was covered. So since I am stretching the sketch, I figured you stretch out a circle and you kind of get an oval. And so I decided just to hide the gap behind one of these photos and kind of just pull it apart like that. Ideally, I wish I would have just had a giant circle to use. I would have liked it to really be symmetrical, but I didn't like how much was covered, and I felt like this was a nice compromise, so I decided to just stretch out the circle this way. And then I'm pretty happy with how the spacing is here, so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing down all of these photos. I'm really trying to stick to the sketch. It ends up looking, I mean, I feel like by the end you can see where I use the sketch for inspiration, but I kind of did end up going off on my own at a certain extent. So yeah, I'm interested to see what everyone else does with this sketch because there's a lot of interesting aspects of the sketch you could probably take in a different way. So yeah, it'll be fun to see what everybody else does. But now that I got that lined up, I'm going to go ahead and cut my polka dot piece that's going to stretch over to the left side. I really like doing this when I have double pages, making one paper kind of continuously pull across both pages so it really looks like one layout. And so that's all I'm doing there is just trying to line this up to make it look like it's continuous. I didn't have enough of this piece to really stretch as far as I wanted, so I'm just going to mat this highlighted photo out again. So I'm just taking another pattern paper from the collection from the 6x8 paper pad. I'm going to do a third mat just to really emphasize this as my favorite photo. But it kind of serves two purposes because then it makes that mat even bigger, which helps extend it down farther to cover the gap from this polka dot paper that won't reach all the way to the edge. So it kind of serves two purposes. And I definitely wanted another mat because I didn't want the polka dot mat around this photo to bleed into that same paper that's this horizontal bit, and this additional green mat kind of help separate those, so it worked out pretty well. But now I'm going to glue all of these down, and then I can kind of go from there. I'm trying to pull from scraps now. I cut into, well, not all cut into, but I have the two wood grains that I didn't gut or anything, and then I pretty much cut into two 12x12s from the Willow collection. So I'm kind of getting down on my paper. So I think for the rest of this page, I'm going to try and pull in scraps instead of cutting into more paper. So kind of see what I go with there. And I definitely want to get some more ephemera and stickers on here too. So this is my basic layout. I felt like I wanted some more green. So I do have some scraps of this big green floral from the Willow collection. So I decided I had enough to make it look like a long skinny strip run across both pages. So that's all I'm doing is tucking that in under there. And then I have a larger chunk of this floral piece that I'm deciding that I want to pull in elsewhere too, just so it's balanced. It's not just this little skinny strip down here. So I thought it might look nice having a larger rectangular piece more towards the top of these photos. That way it was really balanced from the skinnier strip on the bottom, and that's not the only place the pattern is, if that makes sense. I think this looks a lot better once I kind of add this additional piece. And I definitely was missing more layers. It was kind of looking plain. So now that I kind of got this piece down, I think that looks better. I'm definitely liking the little pops of copper on these pages, so I'm thinking maybe for my title I can pull in some coppery alphabets, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. These I think are actually rose gold, but I think there's so little pops of the copper you really can't distinguish. I feel like you can get away pretty easily with mixing copper and rose gold unless they're really right next to each other in large quantities. But I have these Reap Your Float, my favorite alphas ever, in this rose gold glitter. And I also have some, I think it's Amy Tangerine, I could be wrong, but it's also rose gold glitter thickers called Chill. So I figured it'd be a nice chance to kind of get both of those used up. I'm just spelling out Anna Ruby Falls. I realized I didn't have a B, so I kind of had to turn an L and an 8 into a B, but I think it turns out okay. I'm going to stack the title up right where it is in the sketch over my little triple matted photo here. And it kind of ends up spacing weird because the words, even though Anna Ruby Falls are kind of the same size you would think, they kind of taper down awkwardly. So that's when I kind of go with Amy Tangerine's thicker set to kind of fill out that space, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. I got falls down and now I'm trying to trim up this 8 and this L to look like a B. And then I got Ruby, and then I'm just going to put Anna down. And I actually only had one N, so I had to turn an M into an N as well, which is why those N's are slightly different sized. But you can see how that title kind of tapers awkwardly. So I decided to take this little Monstera leaf here and tuck that in the side. There we go. And then this other little Monstera leaf is going to go on the opposite page so that glitter is balanced a little bit. I definitely wanted that somewhere else other than just really bright glittery area of the title. It kind of looks overwhelming from this top down view because the light's shining directly over top. But you can read that really easy in person. Overhead it kind of looks crazy. But it looks really good. Hopefully you can see in the close-ups. But now that I have my title down, a little bit of embellishment, I'm trying to think of some more layers I can add. I kind of want some more pink because there's a little bit of pink in the florals. And I had some checkered pink and white washi, so I decided to throw that into a couple areas just for some more textured and some more layery bits. So I ran that across the bottom of the page, and then I'm just adding a couple layers here and there to branch out horizontally and bring more of that pink in across the page. And then you can see it kind of went through some of my die cuts here. There's this pink banner that says rest easy, and then there's this really cute little potted plant that says rest up. And so I thought it'd be nice if I could get one of those on each side of this page just for a little bit more pink. And I thought it was nice because this was a nice little restful vacation, even though we're hiking. I kind of played around with the placement. I wasn't quite sure where they were going to go. I loved how the rest easy looked on the right side on that right hand photo. But then I was having a hard time finding where this rectangular rest up piece would go. So I end up moving the banner back to that photo there. I think it looks really nice there. And then deciding to fussy cut this little potted plant because then it becomes the perfect size to kind of go where I want it to go. So I'm just going to take a minute to fussy cut. And I think that's so cute. There's so many potted plants in this collection, which I never thought I would find a use for. But I've actually really been enjoying using them this month. So almost done with that. I think I do end up popping both of these up on some foam. So these will have a little bit of dimension too. And then I still think it's a little bit too plain. I just kind of want something extra. I really don't feel like I need to do journaling because the title tells you where we are. And then I had some journaling on my other page. So I kind of just feel like there's not a whole lot I need to do other than just kind of finishing touches. There's already kind of a lot going on just because there are so many photos that I just need a little something else. I'm just not quite sure what it is yet. But I have this rest easy down. And then I decided to add a little bit more of this pink washi just to emphasize it a little bit more. So I'm adding that as well. And then I don't know if you guys remember the butterfly specialty paper that I've kind of been avoiding using all month. I decided I wanted to get used up on here. So I figured it might be nice having some butterflies clustered around the page. I've been avoiding using this paper and I love it. I love this specialty paper, but it's been so hard for me to use. I decided to fussy cut a bunch of the butterflies. And since it's on this dark wood grain, they really kind of look muddy and you can't see them very well. So I did just decide to mat them all on some white. Just so that you can kind of get more of that color. But I thought that would be a nice way to get those butterflies used up. I definitely didn't want to go all month and not use this butterfly paper. So it just takes me a minute to get all of those stuck down. I think I'll cut here in a second and you'll skip forward to where all of these are already fussy cut out. There we go. But I just decided I would cluster a few of these butterflies in 3 separate areas. Just to kind of fill up some of this blank space, but it pulls in more of the pink and more of that kind of greenish aqua color. So I thought that was a nice way to kind of finish off the page in a simple way that doesn't look too heavy. So I'm just taking a minute to kind of glue these down. There we go, and I'm going to do the other side. And then there's a couple aqua dots left. You can kind of see on the top there on my enamel dot sheet. I have a whole row of the coppery enamel dots still that I need to use, but there's 4 aqua dots, and I thought they might look nice just scattered with these butterflies as well. So I'll end up getting all of those used too once I get all of these butterflies glued down. But I think that ends up being my finishing touch if I'm not mistaken, so we'll see if I remember if I do anything else. But I really want these butterflies to look like they're part of the layers and kind of just an extension of the design. So there you go. And now I'm going in with my enamel dots using the rest of the aqua ones. So now I have to use these coppery ones, and it's not that I don't like them. I think they look really cool. I don't know why I haven't used them yet, but hopefully I'll get them used up by the end of the month. But now that I got all of the enamel dots on, I realized that there was still a butterfly on the sticker sheet, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do butterflies on any of my remaining pages, so I figured while I had a layout with butterflies, I would go ahead and get that sticker used up, so I popped that on there as well. So here are the close-ups of the 2 pages individually, and then I'll have a couple close-ups kind of both pages next to each other. But hopefully you guys had fun with the Stretch the Sketch. I was waiting for a sketch that I thought would be a good double page, and this one was just asking for it. So make sure you check out everyone else playing along. Play with us in our Facebook group, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.